Special guest has now arrived, so here we are. Governor, how are you? Everybody, without further ado, we are indeed pleased to not only have a great budget for our great university, but many of you are here because of our expanded enrollments and our new faculty. But at this time, I will turn the mic over to our great governor of the state of California, Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger. Governor.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Alexander. Great title, Dr. Alexander, I like it. And then we have, which one is Rasmussen, the professor? Okay, thank you very much. Amy, first name, Amy Rasmussen. Nice to see you. Thank you very much. Give them both a great hand for the great job that they're doing. Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, this is really great to be back here again. And of course, I have, in the old days, when I was in bodybuilding, when I was pumping up every day, I used to go around to all the universities. I traveled around talking about health and fitness and talking about how to train and how to pump iron and all of those things, how to get a big pump, how to get 22-inch biceps, and how to get a 32-inch waist, and how to have the sexiest body on the beach. But anyway, that was in the old days. That was in the old days. Then later on, when I switched over from bodybuilding to acting, then I traveled around promoting my movies. So again, I went to all the campuses promoting my movies, hyping another Terminator, I'll be back, and all, and having a really good time, because that was my audience, was the young audience, because when you get to be over 45 or 50, those people don't go to movies. So I knew that the action was with the university kids. But anyone that was like 20 years old around that time, around that year, they would go to the movies. And of course, this was my big audience, and this is why my movies made a lot of money. It didn't matter if it was Terminator, or Commando, or Predator, or Conan the Barbarian, chopping people's heads off, and all of those things. Those movies were huge. And then when I did the Twins, and the Danny DeVito movies, and Kindergarten Cop, also they were big. So I was very successful in this, and so I went around to all the college campuses. Now, I'm governor. I mean, you never know what life takes you. Now, all of a sudden, you end up being governor. And so now I'm going again around the college campuses. But of this time, it's for something different, not promoting movies or bodybuilding or anything like this, but to talk about education and how important education is. And after I'm talking a little bit about that, we open it up to question and answer session. Now, when we do the question and answer session, you don't have to talk to me and ask me questions about being governor. You can ask me then about anything. It makes no difference. You can talk about bodybuilding, you can talk about acting, you can talk about my movies. And I have to tell you that this is really strange when you get into politics, when you become governor. Life is a little different. Everything gets a little odd. Like the other day, I gave a speech, and my wife comes up to me after the speech and she says, "Arnold, this is unbelievable. You're becoming more Kennedy-esque." So what does that mean? I talk like John F. Kennedy, or I talk like Robert Kennedy, and she says, "No, you're gaining weight like Teddy Kennedy." So it's like, it's really odd things. Very, very weird everything. But how about this? For 25 years, I've been going around trying to convince people I'm an actor. When I was going from bodybuilding to movies, I say I'm an actor now. And the critics, of course, say the opposite. He says, he's not an actor. And I said, I'm an actor. Now, 25 years later, I'm in politics, and all of a sudden, Phil Angelidis is spending millions of dollars saying I'm an actor. So he's helping me. You see, this is finally he's working on my campaign, and he's convincing people I'm an actor. So this is how strange things are in politics. But anyway, the thing that I wanted to tell you today is that this is extremely important, education. And I tell you something, even when I came over here to this country and I was only thinking about one thing, and this is to be the most famous bodybuilder and to win one championship after the next, Mr. World, Mr. Universe, Mr. Olympia, and all of those titles, I was interested in going to school. So I enrolled in Santa Monica City College to take classes for foreign students because my English was really bad when I came over here. Not that it is perfect now, okay, but I mean it was really bad. I could not read yet the newspaper. I could not understand the news on television or movies or anything like this. So it was really bad. But I mean, I took English for foreign students. And I was very proud that I was going to a community college. Because you have to understand that no one in my family ever went to any community college or to any university. As a matter of fact, no one in my family ever graduated from high school. It was not necessary because when you're in Austria, when you're 15 years old, you finish school and then you go to trade school. You learn a trade. And that's exactly what I did. When I was 15 years old, I learned how to be a salesman. That's the profession that for 3 years you learn that. Then you go into the military, which I did. And then after that, I came to America. And so I was really proud of myself that I'm going to community college and taking classes. And I happened to have a very good counselor that said to me, says, don't just take English classes. Next semester you should also take some math classes. What are you interested in? And I said, I'm interested in business. I always was interested in selling and marketing and all of those things. That's what I'm interested in. He says, well, you should take some micro and macroeconomics. Maybe you want to take some political science classes. Maybe because you're from Europe, you want to study a little bit about American history, about Indian history. All of those classes we have available for you. So he got me into taking more classes, and all of a sudden I was enrolling full-time in Santa Monica Community College. Then I was taking evening classes at UCLA, and I enjoyed it. I loved it. Even though I was training 5 hours a day, and even though I was on the side doing jobs and bricklaying jobs and all this, because in bodybuilding there was no money in those days. It was like strictly kind of amateur. So I had to make a living. And which I did. But at the same time, I went to university. And today, I tell you, I'm so happy that I did that. I finally got my degree in business administration. And while working out and while competing and getting into the movies and all of those things. And today, I'm so happy when I look back that I did that. Because, like I said, you never know where life takes you. Because all of a sudden, I started making money. And I started investing the money in real estate. And I made my first few $1 million before I ever made movies. I made my money in real estate because I was really good in math. I figured this is something that I learned when I started business. You know, how to work out everything with math. And when I was a kid, when I was really young, I was not interested in math. But all of a sudden, at Santa Monica College, and then at UCLA, I started getting interested in math. And because of that, I was very good in going to the location when I bought an apartment building, an office building, and I figured out the square footage and what it would cost a month for the expenses, and how would this pencil out with the interest rate and with the mortgage and with the principal, and when you pay all this, and how long has the mortgage to be paid off in 30 years, what's the down payment, all of those kind of things I could figure out in my head. I never had to write anything down. So I started making a lot of money in real estate. And then later on, when I started making money in movies, I didn't have to have my personal manager. You know how many people have in Hollywood their business manager? And how many people do you hear in Hollywood that get bankrupt? They don't have money. Or how many professional athletes like Mike Tyson are bankrupt and have no money, and then they owe $40 million in taxes because they're not good in math and they're not good in business. They cannot figure out how to invest their money. So they have to have someone else, and most likely someone else will take you to the cleaners. It's always much better when you can invest your money yourself, when you have a specific goal and what you want to invest your money in. So this is why I never lost a dollar in business. Every single thing I paid my taxes, and I always told my accountants, I always said, never stretch the write-offs. We're not into stretching the write-offs. We want to go and pay all the taxes. But what is important is, let's make that money back through great investments. That was the important thing, and that's what I always did. So I'm one of the very few in Hollywood that has made a lot of money, $30 million for Terminator 3, made a lot of money for those movies, but I kept the money and I invested it wisely. That was the key thing, to invest it wisely. Why? Because I had the education. I studied investing. I studied marketing. I studied business in school. That is what I want to tell you is, the day maybe you're not as interested and you say, oh my God, another semester is starting. This is exciting. This is exciting that you're starting now a new semester. Some people are here for the first time at this university. For the first time. But this is exciting because why? Because you have to always think about what is your goal. Now I feel sorry for anyone that is here today in this class and if you don't have a goal, because then it is tough to go to school. It's tough to take classes when you don't have a goal. It's tough to go to a gymnasium and to work out every day and to do your 500 sit-ups when you don't know what it's for. This is why I have seen so many people in the gym always, oh my God, another 200 reps in squats. Oh man, I have to do another 10 sets of chin-ups on the bar up there. Oh God, and then after that I have to do 500 sit-ups. Oh God, I never felt that way. Never ever. I couldn't wait to do the next sit-ups. Why? Because I had in my mind, in my vision was to become the world champion in bodybuilding. That was my vision, that was my goal. So every set that I did and every rep I did got me one step closer and one step closer to that goal, to make that goal into reality. You have to have a vision of where you want to go. It has to be very clear. You have to sit here and say, I want to take this political science class because I want to do this in my life. And this will be very helpful. This is a stepping stone to get there. But if you're aimlessly just going from one class to the next, then it becomes tough because the professor is going to give you a bunch of books. You say, oh my God, what do I do with this? I have to read all these books? This is crazy. I don't have that much time to read all these books. Who has the patience to read all these books? But if you have a goal in mind, then you say, I need to read those books. I need to get really smart because then I can get there as quickly as possible and achieve my goal, whatever that profession may be. So this is why it is so important for you to always visualize. Think about it. Think about what is it that you want to do in life. You got to know that now. And if you don't, let's assume there are people in here that don't, then you got to start thinking about it. And I want you not to start thinking about it, what does your mother want you to do? Or what does your father expect you to do? Forget all that. What is it that you want to do? What is it that you want to do? What is your goal? I think this is exactly what you want to do. So this is why it is extremely important for you to aim for a goal. And then it is worth to go after this, to go after and to put the time in it, the hours in it, and the years, that's the 4 years and so on. So I just want to recommend that very strongly for you, and do everything that you can to get as smart as possible, because education is the ticket to success, I can tell you. There's only two ways to get successful. One is that you are very talented in something. If you're a very talented basketball player, you can be successful, make a lot of money. If you're very talented with your drums, if you're very talented with your music, if you're very talented with painting, then you can go and become very successful. But if you're not, the best way to success is education. I can tell you this firsthand. So let me just remind you, for you to do everything that you can to get the best education possible. You're in a great campus here, in a great university, and that is what is the recipe to success, is to have the vision, to go after it and get as much education as possible, and then you can become successful. Now with that, I want to now hand it over to you, and you can ask me questions. Let's start right now. Yes, please. Terminator 4 may be made without me. But Terminator 4 will be made without me maybe, but I maybe do a cameo in there if they shoot the movie right here in Hollywood. Okay, next one. Yes, please. Which movie is that? Running Man. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Right over here. Please. Yes, you. Yes. To Austria? I haven't been back to Austria for 3 years. And the reason is because I didn't have the time. When you're a governor, it is very consuming, the job. You have to be there all the time. As a matter of fact, just 2 weeks ago, I was supposed to go to Johannesburg to visit my family, my in-laws, and I had to cancel it because we have the National Guard at the airports because of the red alert situation. When you remember, the planes from London supposed to come over and they get hijacked or bombed, and so we were on the red alert, and we had the National Guards at the airport, and so therefore I didn't want to leave the state. So there's many times emergencies like that, or campaign. Right now it's campaign year, where I'm campaigning, for re-election for governor and all of those things. So you have to govern, you have to campaign, and there's a lot of things on the plate. So this year, I just basically wrote off the idea of being on vacation altogether. I just work, okay, and then spend time with my family, which is very important, to create a balance between work and spending time with the family. Yes, please.
I was just wondering what kinds of changes you'd like to see in the educational system in California.
I think the most important thing when you talk about education is to give the children the opportunity to get the best education possible, because it's all about opportunity. For so long we hear always the kind of rhetoric, that California or America is the land of opportunity for everyone. Well, it is the land of opportunity, but it's not necessarily for everyone. Like, for instance, when I became governor, I found out that there was a lawsuit that was filed by the Williams family, which is an African-American family that felt like their child does not get equal education. And the state fought the lawsuit saying, well, the state doesn't have the obligation to provide equal education. So when I came into it, they spent $20 million on that lawsuit. I mean, think about the craziness. So I came into office and I heard about that, and I said, we got to settle the lawsuit. Of course the state has the responsibility to provide every school, if it is a inner city school, should have the same books available, the same homework material available, everything the same quality teachers available, so those students can also get equal education. Because it's all about making sure that everyone can get to the starting line equally, not to the finish line. There will be, socialism or communism. I don't believe in that. What I believe in is that everyone should have the same opportunity, so therefore every child should be able to be as smart as possible and have the best teachers, so when they get to apply for universities, they can all apply equally and no one has to be shooed in because they have been disadvantaged all along. So that's, I think the key thing is the opportunities must be available, the community colleges, that we have choices for kids if they want to go to career tech education like I did when I started out as a kid, or if you want to go to higher education, your community college, this university, private university, all of those should be available for the kids and have the best teachers, and for the state to always provide the funds. Like this year we increased education funding to $55.1 billion from kindergarten through 14. So there's an increase of $5 billion because our economy is doing much better now, so we can afford to pay that money. We put an extra $1 billion into higher education, $40 million, for instance, in Cal grants, $130 million the state is putting into universities because we suspended the increase in tuition fees. Because the economy is doing well, so I said, no increase in tuitions this year. So those are the kind of things. I think it's the opportunity, and America has really great opportunities. We just have to make an effort that everyone has equal opportunities. What about? It's the same thing. With elementary schools, it's the same thing. We have to have the best teachers available. We have just started putting money in for preschools, so those families that disadvantaged get a head start. My father-in-law, Sergeant Shriver, who started Head Start, who started the Peace Corps, Job Corps, Legal Aid to the Poor under the Kennedy administration and under the Johnson administration, who is a big, I'm admiring him, he's my hero. He inspired me to go and to work on things where people have disadvantages, like for instance with preschool, so we can get kids that are disadvantaged a head start. So that is the idea of this whole thing. Yes, you're welcome. Please. Over here, yes.
So you're saying everything about equal opportunity, then...
This, by the way, one time happened in one of my movies. It started out, the theater was full. It was Red Sonja. I remember Red Sonja and Hercules in New York. Then by the time it was over, there was only half full. But anyway, go ahead.
So, what was your intake on the immigration reform policy?
I think that it is not there yet. They don't have a policy yet. I think that Senate went one direction and the House went another direction.
How do you feel? Which direction are you in?
I think that the best direction is that we first of all secure the borders, so we don't have that increase in undocumented immigrants coming in. Second of all, we are just now trying to pass a law that building tunnels from one country to the next should be outlawed and should be criminalized. Human trafficking we should have to crack down on human trafficking and drug smuggling. And we have to just secure the borders so that problem is solved. Then we have to go and say, we are in a global economy. That means that the United States and companies from the United States should be able to hire legally people from outside the country to come in here and to work here legally. Because right now it is a bogus system that they have this low cap. And you can't go above that cap. And the fact is that in the last 20 years, we got into this global economy where we're selling more goods overseas, where we're doing more trading overseas. Why shouldn't we hire legally people from other countries to come in here to the United States on a guest worker program and work and be here legally? Companies can hire legally. You can give them driver's license legally, all of those kind of things. So that is the second step that we have to do. And the third one is then to figure out in a decent way on what to do with the undocumented immigrants that are now here in this country, the 12 million or so. So these are, I think, the three steps that have to take place in order to really reform the system.
What's your decent way of doing that third step?
That has to be figured out. There's many different opinions on that. Should someone be here 5 years and have paid their taxes? Or is it someone that has already children that have been born here in this country? They should definitely be able to say. So I think one has to think it through because there's 10,000 different possibilities. And how do you map that all together? And then how do you make it enforceable? Is the next thing. You can write up anything, but to make it enforceable. But it has to be done in a decent way because I think what some people say, send them all back and all, it's total bogus. This is not going to happen. It shouldn't happen. It should be a way where people start, finding a way of those people that have contributed and paid their taxes, their family members, that there is a way of coming in and becoming legal in this country. I think that should happen. It should be done in a step-by-step process, and also without creating, because there's the far right and then there's the far left, and how do you come up with something in the middle so it's acceptable to everyone? I think is really what I'm saying. Okay, anything else? Good. We have one more over here. Yes, please.
How did you feel about the high school walkouts?
High school walkout? You mean during the immigration debate? I think that it maybe was a way of communicating for some kids, their frustration about something, about not, being here legally. Did it help the kids? No. I think what Mayor Villaraigosa said, stay in school, it's going to help you more staying in school, getting an education than being out on the street. I agree with that. But, nevertheless, I think it doesn't matter what he says or what I say. That's what the kids felt, and that's what they've done. And now they're back in school, and I think it gave them a chance to express themselves. But, I don't think it helped them, and it helped the cause by any means. I think it's better to stay in school. And I think as time goes on, and if everyone works together, we will solve this problem. Because America has solved every problem so far. I think that the key thing is that the people in Washington show leadership on this issue and don't look the other way. For too long, they've looked the other way. For 20 years, they've looked the other way, hoping that somehow this problem goes away. But it doesn't go away by itself. You have to show leadership and not always think about politics. I think that's the trick. Okay, yes?
What was it that made you decide to become a
Oh, yeah,
politician?
yeah.
And why was it? What was the point in your life that decided to make you run for governor? And what makes you a better candidate for governor of California?
Well, first of all, my father-in-law talked to me 25 years ago, when I met Maria. And she brought me home to their family, and they all talked about public service. And he always said to me that the most honorable profession is to be in politics, to be a public servant. And I said to him, you're out of your mind. I mean, the most honorable profession is to be Conan the Barbarian, to be in the movies. I want to be a movie star. I think that's the greatest profession as far as I'm concerned. You maybe think differently. Now, 25 years later, after having this conversation, I ran for governor. That's how odd life is. It's really interesting. And now I'm at an age where I went through the macho thing with the bodybuilding and the thing with the movies and playing the action hero and all of those things. And all of a sudden you get to an age where you look at things differently. Where all of a sudden you say, I think that I should give something back to this country. I should give something back to the community, something back to the state that has given me everything. Because I wouldn't be here And I wouldn't be governor, and I wouldn't have been the movie star, and I wouldn't have been the champion in bodybuilding if it wouldn't have been for California, if it wouldn't have been for America. This country and this state has given me literally everything, every single success, including my family, meeting my wife, and having my 4 beautiful children. So I said, you know, when I saw the state taking a dive and going down, and businesses leaving the state, and we had a $22 billion debt and a $16.5 billion structural deficit, and the highest workers' comp costs, and people were laid off, and 20 to 30,000 people were losing jobs a month. I said, this is disastrous, and all of a sudden they said, there will be a recall. So I said, I think this is my calling. I think that I should campaign, and I should put my money where my mouth is, because I said, this state is terrible. I have a clear vision of what can be done with this state. And so I jumped in, not knowing what will happen. Of course, I always, having the ego I have, of course I'm going to win. That was my thinking. Because always it's huge, it's the best. All of those things. So I campaigned, and I believed, I saw myself as the governor. So I went out and started talking about policies, and I didn't have the experience or anything, but I had a very clear vision again. And I won. And the people sent me to Sacramento. And since then, we have turned the state around. $20 billion more revenues. We've created 600,000 new jobs. We have all the money now so we can give education the money, the $55 billion. We have come together, Democrats and Republicans, to pass an infrastructure package to build schools, to build transportation, to expand the universities and community colleges and all of those things. So there's all kinds of great things that have happened in Sacramento. With both parties working together, because that's the key thing in California and anywhere, because in Washington, they're paralyzed because they fight always about what is Republican and what is Democrat, but in the end, people really don't care. They just want to have things fixed. If you have a problem, fix it. Don't give me the Republican Democrat thing. Fix it. If we get stuck in traffic, fix the roads. Build more roads. We have too many kids in the classroom, build more classrooms, build more schools. That's what people want, action. So this is what we have created the last 2.5, almost 3 years now. And so the economy is back. We are booming. We're #1 stem cell research, #1 in biotechnology, #1 in job creation, #1 in revenue creation with the #1 university system. The state is shining again. But there's still a lot of work to be done. So this is why I got into politics. That's why I enjoy it. I love even the campaigning that most people always dread, is campaigning. I love it because we have a lot of good news. A lot of great news. California is in good shape, but there's still a lot of work to be done. And then the people have the choice between the 2 candidates. Which way do they want to go? Do they want to move forward the way we have, or do they want to go back where we were? So those are the 2 choices that people have. Do they want to be taxed more, or do they want to continue with someone that promises them, I will not raise your taxes, because we will raise the revenues like we have $20 billion without raising taxes. So those are the choices. So people, and the other candidate, it's probably a great guy and great family, and also I have nothing personal against him. It's just, you should look at his vision and look at my vision. That's as simple as that. There's no personal attacks, there's no fighting or anything like this. The people have a choice. And that's the choice they have. All right, well, thank you very much, all of you, for listening. I really appreciate it. And I'll be back. Thank you.
Governor, please join me in thanking Governor Schwarzenegger, and as a token of our appreciation, we would be remiss if we didn't send him off with a Cal State Long Beach sweatshirt. Governor. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And I just want to tell you, public service is the best thing you can do. So thank you very much. Thank you.